Well, hello and welcome to On It Not In It interview series. I'm your host, Todd Ebert, and today I am joined by Bob Appenzeller, who is a CEO at Dragoon ITCN. Bob, thank you so much for joining us. Would you like to kick us off with a brief background of who you are and what you do?
Sure, thanks, Todd. My name is Bob Appenzeller, and I've been in the defense contracting business since 1981. Long time, and it's been a wild ride. Started out in big industry, started with Goodyear Aerospace, and then migrated to Motorola, and has spent a lot of time as an engineer, electrical engineer, doing defense work with mainly started out with the Air Force, but the big kick to the career was the Army. The Army came in the 93, 94 timeframe and made it possible for me to start my own operation. The starting of Dragoon Technologies was 1992. And we served as SETA, System Engineering Technical Assistants to the Army. And we were involved with the Army's intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance work that they were doing with smaller aircraft. So I got right in the middle of that as a subject matter expert from my background working on radars. And that's what gave me a big push and got me into my own business. So then Dragoon went on through thick and thin, and we went through all of the sandbox operations and so on, and it was good. It was good for business. We grew. We had at one time up to 20 people, and with the downsizing and the Army's kind of moving away from the ISR field, we had to go find other customers. So happily, we were able to engage with a company called ITCN in Dayton, Ohio. And in 2013, we formed a single company. That's turned out to be really a good move, because what we're pivoting toward is a original manufacturer, an OEM of test equipment. So we've kind of migrated from assembling radars and characterizing systems to being able to maintain these systems. And that's been very fortunate for us. Luckily, and with a lot of work and grit, we've been able to land a significant contract, or GSA spot rather, with the Air Force as far as supplying them test equipment. And our bailiwick is still in the front end of the cockpit. So we're doing avionics and different kinds of weapon systems. And we're primarily supporting the legacy aircraft. So that's kind of in a nutshell where we are. We're still in it today. And frankly, I'm looking to hand it off and get on with some kind of retirement at some point. So well, that's my story.
We'll absolutely get to that question, because I will have a question towards the end about the future. But I want to start at the very beginning. So you mentioned 1992, Dragoon starting. You also mentioned 2013, the merger with ITCN, which is fantastic. So I'm just curious, you said that the Army helped you spark the building of your business, but what really inspired you to do it? I mean, yes, you had a customer that was interested in you doing the work, but what really inspired you to take it on and start your own business? What was the initial spark?
Well, the spark is that, first of all, when you come out of college and the first job you have is assisting a program like the Blackbird, the SR-71, it's addictive. That kind of work is something that just stays with you. So I didn't really want to leave. I didn't want to jump into another career field. But the spark was definitely supporting. And then the Army came in the picture. And again, I was their, radar guy, basically. So I was the guy that said, yeah, this is the right kind of radar if you want to go look for this. And the Army's need was really high. There was an actual urgent need statement that came out of PACOM. And, it was one of these fortunate or unfortunate situations where they needed a capability quickly. It happened to be in Korea at the time. And our little crew that worked for the Army were the ones to actually deliver. We were only supposed to be over there for, I don't know, a couple of months. And it turned out it was a lot longer than that. So that was really the spark that got me tied to the Army.
Okay, great. Thanks for sharing that. So just curious, think about being that small business owner. That's what this podcast is all about, working on it, not in it. What are some common misconceptions about running a business?
Common misconceptions is that I guess that somehow you're going to be saved from financial ruin. And I've heard other small business owners say this too. If you don't have a strong stomach and a little bit of insanity, I guess, it's not going to work out. I mean, there is no safety net. There is no light at the end of the tunnel necessarily, and you just have to be able to weather the storm and last. We're going into a government shutdown here, which is frankly always scary for us. I mean, we just absolutely hate the idea of the government shutting down because it's already slow enough to get things done, and it's going to be even slower. But the good news is that if you are able to stack the bricks, like my dad used to say, stack the bricks and make a good solid wall, you got a good foundation, and just keep looking ahead. That's all you can do.
You mean it's not all rainbows?
A little luck helps too.
So you mean it's not all rainbows and unicorns, Bob?
No, it's not.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's a common. I think that's one of the best misconceptions is that folks start a business thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna have all this freedom and all this wealth," and they don't always count the costs. So thanks for sharing that one. That's great. So you've also mentioned in 30 years, obviously you've had to make some evolution changes to your business. One of the big ones sounds like when you had to when you did the merger with ITCN to not just build but also support that equipment that you were making. But the landscape's always changing. So how do you stay adaptable, and how do you keep your business and organization open to change?
Good question. Well, you have to stay adaptable by, first of all, go to these seminars, go to the conferences, listen to what other people are doing, listen to what the Air Force has in mind and what their needs are. It's very dynamic. Just because they're interested in avionics today doesn't mean they're going to be interested in avionics tomorrow. And it's important. I know the electric vertical takeoff and landing is becoming a huge entity now. It's taken a life of its own. But again, I caution everybody that this could be something that lasts a long, long time, and I hope it is. But the quirkiness, the way that leadership kind of gets really in love with a certain topic or a certain concept, and then they change leadership, and then the next guy says, no, not so much. But yeah, so back to your original question there, as far as how do you keep it fresh? And I'd say trade pubs, go to the re-education. That's a big one. If you can, fortunate enough, we live in Dayton, Ohio. There's lots of universities, Wright State, University of Dayton, even Cincinnati, where I went to school. They offer refresher courses, and I never thought I would be able to do any kind of software program in my career, but along comes Python, and it's something that, even I can do. So that's how you keep it fresh. You just kind of keep, casting the net out there and seeing where the interest is, and jump in.
Yeah, so you gave some real specific examples. You talked about what does the Air Force need. So in general, what is your customer looking for? Right, is what I hear you saying there.
Yeah.
I also hear you saying some continuous education, some continuous just keep fresh, whether it's trade publications, conferences, listening and talking to other business owners, leaders. What are they doing in their business? That's
Right.
great to hear. Really good advice there. And then it sounds also like, hey, don't get too married to one solution, i.e., don't be Blockbuster, right?
Right.
You get too
Right.
married to one solution, your customer completely changes direction, and all of a sudden you have no business, right?
I think the word for that is adroit. I love that word. So that's one place you can use adroit. You got to be willing to shift courses and be proactive. So yeah, good point.
Yeah, and Bob, I got to tell you, you're only the second person that I've ever heard use the word adroit properly. So well done.
I keep looking for it.
Yeah, so I promised when you brought it up in the beginning, I promised we'd get to this in the end or towards the end or somewhere, but I'd ask you the question. But give me a glimpse of your future. You mentioned that, hey, I want to retire. I want to do something with my business. So give me a glimpse of the future. Any plans? What's your time frame? What are you thinking about at this point?
Well, last year was tough. I lost both my parents, and they lived a long time, and but whenever you lose your parents, and I'm starting to lose other family, extended family, so it gets you to thinking, what am I really doing here? And you get to a point where, the next trip overseas, well, I'm not so sure I want to do it anymore, which is really different. So, I can look ahead and 2-3 years. I think that Dragoon ITCN is going to be in a really solid position, and it's going to be attractive. It's going to be an attractive business to somebody to pick up. I'd like it to be another solid business that has a backlog and is good with employees, because I've definitely got some of the best employees you're ever going to find. So I can't say for sure. I mean, obviously right now we're in the beginning of launching a product that's starting to really take hold. We've got a national stock number on it now, and we're really getting calls. The calls are coming in, and we're being able to make a difference, and I see it. So I'd like to ride that out, and but I don't think I'm going to be starting any new projects. I think this is going to be probably the capstone, and where I want to try to ease out of it, if you will.
Yeah, great. I appreciate you sharing that. Any just again keeping that crystal ball in your hands. Any challenges that you can foresee to maybe those plans coming to fruition for yourself? For your business?
I don't really see anything on the horizon. Of course, short of, I really don't see anything that's going to impede the progress. I mean, we're doing well. Like I say, we've got a great team. Everybody's healthy. I mean, there's always another COVID breakout, and who knows? But honestly, where I'm sitting right now, things are looking pretty stable, and as long as we, just keep the lights on, I think we're going to be good.
Yeah, very good. I appreciate you sharing that. And you brought a point up in the beginning of the last answer, which is, when things happen personally around us, you mentioned the death of your parents and maybe some friends and some other people you recognize. It does really open your eyes, right? It says, man, I better have a better plan than just assuming that tomorrow's guaranteed, right?
Right.
Is really what I hear you saying there. So that's great. So one final question for you. Would you offer any advice to the aspiring entrepreneur? Put yourself 30 years ago when you were thinking about starting Dragoon. What would you say to them that's just starting their journey and facing challenges in the business?
I would say find a little humility. Try to be humble. Try to not go in and don't do what I did. I did not do this. So if I was talking to myself 30 years ago, I'd say, take a breath, take a beat, and listen more. I got it. I don't know why, but I started reading a lot about George Washington. from the very beginning of his, illustrious career. And he found the same thing out that I'm trying to give advice on, and that is sometimes being quiet, being silent, listening. It's good to be enthusiastic, but sometimes you got to temper that. And the humility, the being humble, be a little bit self-effacing if you have to, but that goes a long way. Not everybody has the educational background that you do. Not everybody has the experience base that you do, but that's okay. It takes a lot of different people and a lot of skill sets to make a successful company. So I don't know whether that makes sense, but that's what I would say.
Well, I think it does. Stay humble and hire good people around you is what I hear you saying, right? As you grow, hire good people that have talents that you don't have. And talents aren't always education. They could be just skills, right?
Right.
So very good. So, well, Bob, thank you so much for spending time with us today. Again, folks, this is Bob Appenzeller, CEO of Dragoon ITCN in Dayton, Ohio area. So thank you very much, Bob. We really appreciate it. It was a great meeting. Great meeting you and learning more about your company, your entrepreneurial journey, and your future plans. To everyone watching and listening, I look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Thanks again, Bob. Really appreciate it.